is the basically general chair of this particular conference from Johns Hopkins University, USA. Then we have Dr. Pavitra Mohan, Program Chair, and Dr. Rudraman Tripathi, Dean School of Computer Science and Engineering. And of the dais, my guru, Dr. Panda, Dr. Ganapati Panda sir, and our other registrar, XIM University, and all faculties, participants, dear students, and other delegates. Good morning to one and all. So it's a great feeling while standing here, because I was just sitting there thinking, actually, three things were coming in my mind. First is basically this conference, this particular conference, whatever international conference on artificial intelligence and emerging technology. This conference proposal, when it came, that time 2024, I was the chair of the Bhubaneswar subsection. And one fine day, I remember Professor Ashish Kumar, he called me like they are facing some issues with this particular conference. And as chair of Bhubaneswar subsection, I basically took up the case with this in Calcutta section. And I remember a few meetings subsequently. There was EC meeting at Trident Academy of Technology Start, where Dr. Rudraman Tripathi and Ashish, I invited them. We discussed there, and further it carried forward actually. That is the seed. Before that, there was no IEEE activities at XIM Bhubaneswar University. So that is the time I remember I suggested, why don't you start some membership drive, have some student chapter. And I'm happy to see that 2024 itself, they could able to start a basically student chapter with a good number of IEEE student members and basically professional members as well. And subsequently, many things happened on behalf of IEEE. We could able to associate basically XIM. Association, it grows. And when I look back, just yesterday I was looking the data. Now the student membership, it has crossed 50. Yesterday just I was saying 54 or something. So good number of membership. Then coming to Bhubaneswar section, I saw that is the second highest after KIT actually. I compliment XIM for the membership drive. Then coming to the association, like involvement of the students as faculty with Bhubaneswar section activities, I compliment XIM that they could able to get themselves involved with various activities, and even some of the activities they could able to got some awards, receive accolades from the IEEE Bhubaneswar. So it's a great journey for them, and they could able to prove their presence that IEEE activities are going on in XIM University. So that is the first reason what I told. I was just sitting there and thinking that it's a great journey on part of this university to get associated with IEEE through this conference. And today I am happy again this conference is happening here. For these next 2 days it will continue. So that is the first thing. Second thing, I am thankful to the organizing committee and XIM for inviting me. because I got opportunity to meet two fellows here. It is very difficult. I was telling basically this professor, this Prasant Mahapatra, as well as Dr. Asutosh Datta. It's a rare opportunity to find two fellows on the same platform. So that is a great thing. And we made basically VC of XIM. Third time I could able to visit. So this is the second thing. Then third thing already actually our speakers they have told. For the first time, even if I am visiting for the third time, this time I got opportunity to see the facility. I see to the international center too. It was fascinating actually. Great facility the university is having. So these are the three things, and thanks to the organizing committee. Coming to the conference and all, what is the relevance and all, already my previous speakers they have elaborated. I don't have to talk much about that. But being the chair of the Computer Society chapter at Bhubaneswar, what I understood, like you may be knowing this Computer Society, every year they used to find out the technology predictions. So I just go through technology prediction of 2025. So they have identified some 22 basically technology area. Out of 22, 5 areas it directly talk about AI directly. And indirectly you talk another 7 areas, they talk indirectly about artificial intelligence. So coming to these 5 areas, that is AI enhanced robotics, second is AI agents, third is augmented artificial intelligence, and fourth is tools and policies for AI regulation. That's a very gray area. Then fifth is LLM deployment. Then coming to the other 7, that is smart agriculture, AI optimized green, high performance computing, autonomous driving, AI assisted drug discovery, AI based medical diagnosis, functional safety, autonomous vehicles, next generation cyber warfare. Because next generation, whatever cyber warfare, it will be AI assisted, either AI assisted attack, and other side you have to basically resort to AI assisted defense. So on their circumstances, like this is the technology predictions of computer society, this thing, IEEE computer society. So it is very much relevant, no doubt about this thing. Then as Professor Khillar was telling about this particular AI subject conference and all, I want to just tell him that this year itself, 2025, we had already some 10 conferences over, and out of 10, AI topic it is covered in almost 6 to 7 conferences. What I can. So good number of conferences happening at Bhubaneswar on these domains. And lastly, to the delegates, like IEEE always we need to tell, connect, collaborate, and innovate, CCI. So this is the right forum to basically connect with people and to get minds are available on this particular realm. So try to interact with them and get benefited. And I wish this particular conference a great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are looking forward to connect, collaborate, and innovate in this conference. And we are deeply grateful for your presence and for you sharing your wisdom with us today. Now, extending a heartfelt gesture of gratitude to all of our esteemed guests for gracing us with their presence and enriching our gathering with their invaluable contributions.
As a token of appreciation and respect, we now take a moment to honor our distinguished dignitaries with their presence and for the valuable insights they have shared with us today. May I now request our Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Anthony R. Rovri SJ, to kindly come forward and do us the honor of presenting the tokens of appreciation.
Father, may I request you to please present them to our chief guest, Dr. Prashant Mahapatra, sir. Our guest of honor, Dr. H.K. Rath, sir. Our General Chair, Dr. Ashutosh Datta, sir. And our Technical Program Chair, Dr. Pavitra Mohan Khilar, sir.
Thank you, Father, for presenting the tokens of love and gratitude. With this gesture, we now move ahead in the spirit of today's ceremony.
As we near the conclusion of our program, we have the honor of inviting our esteemed Dean and the General Chair, Dr. Rudra Mohan Tripathi, sir. Yes.
Thank you very much. Before Professor Rudra thanks everyone, gives vote of thanks, I'd like to introduce Professor Gopal Nayak. He has just reached the venue and please stand up, all the students can see. Just a few words about Professor Gopal Nayak. He is the one, the former Dean of XIM Bhubaneswar, XIMB, former Dean. And he is the one who created the AIS, Academic Information System, earlier. Now you call it UMS. Earlier he created Academic Information System, and we were the first institute in the country to introduce AIS in the internet and in the computer form. And many IIMs and XLR, including XLRI, bought this AIS from our institute. And he is the man behind creating that product. Afterwards, he started the Triple IT Bhubaneswar, and he is the founding director, worked there as a director for 10 years. And again, after completing his tenure, he joined us back. As soon as he joined us back, he saw that our university has grown so big. He changed the AIS into UMS, University Management System. Therefore, now all the students, staff, and faculty are using UMS very freely, and it keeps, he keeps modifying every other day. So we thank him, why I am introducing him to all of you is, he along with Professor Bhaskar, they are heading the program which I set, MBA in Business Innovation and Artificial Intelligence. These two gentlemen are heading that program. They have done last 3 months lot of homework and prepare the content, course, curriculum, everything. Also, they are attending as a student. Can you imagine? They are attending a program in artificial intelligence from ISB Hyderabad. They are attending an online MBA program. At this age, can you imagine Professor Gopal Naik? I know he may be around 65 now. He is attending like any one of the students' classes. So that is the passion, that is the level of commitment they have to learn the computer knowledge. And this whole year they will attend that program, and next year they will start this new program called MBA in Business Innovation and Artificial Intelligence. And also the Dean of XIMB, Professor B.S. Misra, who is the economics area, but he is very much interested in artificial intelligence. And he doesn't miss any seminar in artificial intelligence. And School of Computer Science in the recent time has conducted a lot of faculty development programs for our university faculty, but he is an active participant. So even today he has joined here in this conference to show his interest in artificial intelligence. So dear students, why I am introducing all these three great men is the simple reason that you are in the good hands when we start this MBA in business innovation and artificial intelligence. Most of the BTech fourth year students start preparing for the CAT-JAT exam and apply for the program and join. And these three gentlemen will give you some concession to attend the program, join the program. Okay, so for we will make it that we will give some preference for our own university students in the MBA in artificial business innovation and artificial intelligence. So we welcome all three of them, and once again, thank you very much.
Now, as we near the conclusion of our program, we have the honor of inviting our esteemed Dean and the General Chair, Dr. Rudra Mohan Tripathi, to deliver the closing note and the vote of thanks. Your words will serve as a fitting culmination to our event, expressing gratitude to all those who have made this gathering a success. Please, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries on the dais, esteemed delegates, participants, faculty member, dean colleagues, students, and everybody else present here. It is indeed my great honor and privilege as the Dean School of Computer Science Engineering and the General Co-Chair of International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technology to deliver the vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion. First and foremost, I bow my head in gratitude to God Almighty, for His abundance, grace, and blessing to make this event possible. A very special word of thanks to our chief guest, Prashant Mahapatra sir, for gracing us with his presence. Sir, your insightful talk and remarkable tone and highlighted the importance of AI and emerging technology, and we are truly honored for your advice and grace. Looking forward for your keynote address, sir. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to our guest of honors, Dr. H.K. Rath, for his gracious presence and thoughtful words. Sir, your encouragement and continuous support for research and community will deeply appreciated. We are profoundly grateful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Dr. Antonia Rubari SJ, for his constant support and blessing. Father, your vision and encouragement continue to inspire and guide us. Thank you for being with us for a long time. It is also our privilege to thank Register Father S. Santoniraj SJ and the Chief Finance Officer Father V. Arokyadas SJ for their unwavering supports and encouragement in enabling the smooth conductions of this conference. I express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Asutosh Datta sir, our general co-chairs, for his visionary guidance and leadership. His presence today and the contribution to shaping this conference have been truly invaluable. With his guidance and the starts, these paper presentations and all these tracks have been decided with his guidance from in the January visit, sir. Thank you. I extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. P.M. Khilar, one of our program chair, for his tireless efforts, actually the entire team tireless efforts and his dedications has been central to smooth conductions of the successful organizations of this conference. And thank you, sir, and thank you the team of program chairs who have actually the backbone of the conferences. So many of papers, almost close to 1,000 papers, reviewing these papers, it will be a very, very tedious job. A heartfelt note of appreciation to the entire organizing team, truly the backbone of the conference led by Dr. Devendra Kumar Yadav and Dr. Ashish Kumar. The team has taken various responsibility and dedications and professionalism and ensured that every details was handled with care and to make the event successful. Special thanks to the team Illuminatics and the IT team and all the behind the scene supports for their exceptional effort. Your dedication in managing the live coverages and ensuring the flawless executions of the event has been invaluable. And for your kind information, all the keynotes addresses have been live telecasted, right? Starting from the first day to the third day. We extend our sincere gratitude to the print and electronics media for the invaluable supports and extensive coverage. Our heartfelt thanks to all the authors, the paper presenters, the poster presenters, the participants, and all the delegates for the valuable contributions and active engagement in the ICAIT 2025. We also extend our appreciation to our choir students, Shaina and Anjani, for the soulful opening prayer sung and setting the tone for the event. Finally, big thanks to these two students, Arlena and Avilasa, for conducting the ceremony with grace and professionalism. Thank you. Now let us take this inspiration from the morning sessions into the session ahead. We have key speaker lined together, keynote 1 and keynote 2 by Professor Prasad Mahapatra and Professor Asutosh Datta. And let us make this event ICAI-ET 2025 a meaningful, a successful, and an inspiration journey for all of us. Right? Thank you once again to all of you for attending this inauguration ceremony. May God bless one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for delivering the vote of thanks. Your thoughtful words captured the essence of our event and expressed gratitude to all those who contributed to its success. Your acknowledgement and appreciation have added a meaningful touch to this gathering.
As the hosts of the ICAI-ET 2025, we are deeply grateful for the inspiring journey we have shared here today. A heartfelt thanks to all the speakers, guests, organizers, the print and press media, and participants for making this inaugural ceremony a resounding success. Let us now carry the spirit of innovation and collaboration forward. Your support means everything.
With that, we conclude the inaugural ceremony of the International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies. Thank you all for being a part of this momentous occasion. With hearts full of excitement and voices united, we proudly declare ICAIET 2025 officially open.
We will now take a short break for tea and snacks. The next session of keynote speeches will begin in 15 minutes. 10 minutes? The now national anthem. Okay, declare.
We request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem.
नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे. We'll now take a short break for tea and snacks. The next session of keynote speeches will shortly begin in 5 minutes. Please enjoy your refreshments and we look forward to reconvening here shortly.
Respected keynote speakers, esteemed Dean, dear colleagues, and all conference participants, a very warm welcome to all of you. It is a great honor and privilege to address you all at the commencement of ICAIET, International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies. As we step into what promises to be an enriching and forward looking event, we are truly delighted to be joined by two globally renowned thought leaders whose contribution have significantly shaped the landscape of wireless networks, cybersecurity, and next generation communication systems. It is a privilege to introduce one of the foremost leader in 5G, 6G, and cybersecurity, Dr. Asutosh Datta is the Chief 5G APL Sabbatical Fellow at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab, USA. He also serves as Director of Doctor of Engineering Program and Associate Professor in Department of Computer Science. With over 30 years of experience in academia, industry, and research, he has authored 110 technical papers and 31 patents. Dr. Datta is an IEEE Fellow and has played a key role in global IEEE initiatives, including chairing IEEE Future Networks. He has also received the 2022 George F. McClure Citation of Honor, currently chairs IEEE Industry Connection of ORAN activities, and was inducted into IPv6 Hall of Fame in 2024. And there are many more to the list. Please welcome Dr. Asutosh Datta.
Thank you. Just yeah, sure. So while the slides are getting ready, first of all, thank you for the warm introduction. And we have another exciting keynote by Professor Prashant Mahapatra. So once you listen to these two talks, he'll be focusing certain things. I'm going to talk about 5G, a little bit of security and the challenges, and Professor Mahapatra will provide more interesting ideas about how AI/ML. I'll touch upon a little bit about AI/ML, but he's going to talk more about that, so that after listening to these two keynotes, you should have some idea what are the challenges, opportunities, what you can do to help fix the problem using AI/ML as a tool, as we discussed in the morning, how it can help different aspects of the society, and different verticals. So with that, I think we are good. So as I can, otherwise I just use this. So as the title says, I have next generation. Within bracket I put 5G, because right now we're in the midst of 5G, right? And 2030 it will be 6G every 10 years. And I'll give you an example of how things have evolved. So I just put in the bracket 5G, although people now started calling in next generation networks. And I will touch upon a little bit about AI/ML, but Professor Mahapatra will give more. So with that, I think I've been introduced already. My talk outline, my whole idea is I want to make sure you get an idea about what is an emerging technology, why we need it to begin with, right? And I mean, we are on 5G now, 2030 will be 6G, maybe 2040 will be 7G, then we all have been using Wi-Fi. There has been evolution of Wi-Fi and wireless. So you should know why we try to get a new technology, either as a business person or as a technologist. Then I'll take 5G as a use case. It's a little bit technical talk, folks, but I know you're all engineers or business people. And then I'll focus on the security aspect. I'll provide some experimental results. It is important not only just to do the theory, but also try to do some experiment and see how you can realize that. Because unless you do the experiments, you won't appreciate it. And that is a big component there. So I'll give some examples and may skip few slides just to make sure we are back on track. And then applicability of AI/ML in 5G security. I'll say very scratch the surface, and Professor Mahapatra will talk more details. And there are different ways you can get involved in IEEE. I'm so glad to see so many students are involved. Future networks, connecting the unconnected. This is the example I gave. How do you make sure 50% of the world who are not connected, how can you get them connected? And testbed. I don't know whether you have testbed, 5G, 6G testbed. In IEEE, we built a testbed, one of the co-chair, and you can get access to the testbed, okay, and conclusions. So with that, so let me give you a little bit of history, because without knowing the history of communication, we cannot see what's we have to design as engineers or scientists. So the example I'm giving here, you see that are like old days, ancient days, that horses, pigeons, and as time went by, optical telegraph, electric telegraph, Morse code, then Graham Bell in 1875 invented the telephone, and then came circuit switching. I was giving a talk at CDOT in New Delhi. As you may know, in 1984, CDOT started having this PBX, right? And that actually gave rise to cellular revolution, or PBX. I think that time there was hardly any cellular, but people started making calls. I didn't even have to make a trunk call, right? Remember, you had a trunk call, you wait for something, okay, your turn is now, we connect this to your somebody somewhere else, right? So those things are gone. And then if you go right on the packet switching, is there any echo? No. And the packet switching 1970, this is where Len Kleinrock, he's a UCLA professor, emeritus, 90-year-old, Winslow and Bob Kahn, they did this experiment, a part of ARPANET. So circuit switching had a lot of issues, like utilization issues, because you're not sharing the medium properly. So packet switching, that are the PhD thesis of Len Kleinrock, add additional capacity. I buy a new router, and configure it. It takes me like 3-4 hours before I add another router to increase the capacity. But with virtualization, these are all VM-based solution with Linux operating system, OpenStack framework, so you can dynamically do it very quickly. Orchestration means you are able to put these network functions at different locations depending on the need. And then people have started looking into physical security, quantum set, these are some research stuff, satellite with NTN, supply chain, from which country you are getting, whether they're safe or not, other than traps or not. Predictive security, how you can know, even before the attack happens, I know attack is happening based on some technique and I'll just stop the attack, and satellite. So these are the things. I maybe give 1 or 2 examples because of lack of time, but just give you an idea. There are additional pillars, enablers that help us to optimize 5G, but that comes with their own security challenges. I'll give 1 example before I get to a testbed experiment. So just to make you understand, when a user endpoint turns your cell phone on, you'll see, it goes through all this interaction, the protocol interaction that I show. So now a hacker can come and bad things during this whole process. I can even hijack the communication to a rogue base station, right? And then the different protocols on the radio interface, interaction among the APIs. So I have to see what problems happen. The second thing, once you connect the control plane, you attach, you authorize, then you start sending traffic. So when you start sending traffic, you see over here you have some kind of a bearer path, right? And then you can have a different bearer path for your voice, for data, for other things, and they use a protocol called GTP, GPRS tunneling protocol. So those things also have vulnerability. So I have to now make sure how I can detect and stop it. So now I give you some very simple use case. Now let's look at the mitigation. What can I do if the attacks are happening, but I can still make my network resilient? So we call it closed loop detection mitigation. So what I'm showing here is a very high level. These are the endpoints. These are the denial of service attack from the control plane, data plane. I have a data analytics engine that detects, well, there is a big spike. It was going 150 megabit, all of a sudden went to 1 gigabit, right? Or I'm sending 50 packets per second, all of a sudden become 1,000 packets per second in control plane. So I send some alerts. Then you have different types of deep packet inspection engine, like IDS, intrusion detection, distributed denial of service, and intrusion prevention system. So these things detect and then tell us which device, which IP address, which MC. So all the details of the endpoints I come to know. When I know that, then I can use my SDN controller. Remember, this is the one that helps program the routers, firewalls. I can go dynamically stop those attacks, right? So one thing I want to tell you here, what is resilience, because you see the user plane function and control plane function, while the attack detection mitigation happening is taking time. So during that time, my network function is overwhelmed, my bandwidth is choked. So how do I scale up the network during that time? Let's say it's taking 5 minutes to detect and mitigate. I still want my service to continue. So that's where the orchestrator comes and tries to, add additional AMF and UPF. So this is called closed loop detection or mitigation. I'll give you some experimental results from that. So now you understand how it works. I'll give you 2 or 3 maybe. I don't have time to go over all. The first use case is control plane attacks using NGAP. NGAP is a protocol. So think about when you connect, you are one user. Think about the things malware infected, you said thousands of connection to the 5G network. So that's called attack storm. So, and that is a type of denial of service. On the user plane, let's say one of your phone has an application that became rogue. It starts sending lots of malware traffic, which hogs the bandwidth and chokes the functions. That's called denial of service. Or if you're doing voice over IP connection, talking to somebody, all of a sudden they call it SIP denial of service attack, telephonic denial of service attack, so you cannot even make calls. So what is happening in the process is affecting the new users or even the existing users that their degradation, the service is degraded. And there are other things like HTTP now that are going to be using HTTP. 70% of the protocols are going to be HTTP if they are malware infected. So we did some experimental results even in the pivoting attack. I'll give some examples and move on. So this is like think about like a unit test. So what you see on the left side is the control plane. I'm showing on the control plane functions. And on the right hand side, I'm showing the user plane function. So on the left hand side, I generate attacks. I overwhelm AMF. I overwhelm the bandwidth here, right? And then the new people cannot even connect. So that's called denial of service attack. On the right hand side, similarly, I start sending lots of malware traffic. So my UPF is under attack and people cannot even send traffic, right? So let's take this to use case. I'll show you some example. So here we actually did that at Applied Physics Lab, even IEEE 5G6 Innovation Testbed. My packet rate initially is normal. Then we created a attack. So you see the packet, in this case with 20 to 30, but you can even have thousands of attached terms going up. And that case, you need to, what we had an intrusion detection system, does the deep packet inspection and got the alerts. Then you cannot see it properly, it tells which IP address, from which location, what is the MC, is it Apple or Samsung, is it a camera? So once you know the actual location, then you apply those closed loop mitigation technique and you stop. So you actually enforce. So here what I did, we're able to detect and mitigate. At the same time, I can have additional AMF and UPF going up. So that is on the control plane. Then next one, I'll show the data plane. So data plane means you see on the left hand side, your data is about 150 megabit per second, all of a sudden went to 1 gigabit because you have a rogue application that starts sending malware. So what I do, I have to detect that this is a TCP or UDP, RDP, whatever, right? I detected using intrusion detection, looked at if you look at carefully, find out which user, and then I applied the enforcement policy to stop it, So this is an example of on the user plane. So now I'll give you a demo, so that you visualize it a little better. That was on the slide thing, right? The demo is always fun. So we have, as I said, we have IEEE 5G6 Innovation Testbed. Many of the universities are using it. At Johns Hopkins, I use it. And I'm one of the co-chair for this with Anwar Al-Dulaimi. We thought IEEE has been mostly on theory, conference. Let's do something tangible. So if you study 5G class, you can get your hands and see how 5G works. So this example, I'm going to show what I just showed, denial of service attack on the network. So here, you see we have different, Nixon is an intrusion detection system, AMCUP is an orchestration, it's a different component, network orchestrated threat detection, Open 5G is an open source 5G code, and Grafana, Kubernetes, these are all different components that you need for orchestration. So what we did, we started, setting up the different network functions, and you can see the traffic, then connect the G-Node B, etc. There's a company called Rabaka. We use their code, and then you start sending attacks, right? So we generate the attacks on the control plane, and you'll see a number of UEs getting connected is going up. And the Nixon is the intrusion detection system. It detects where the attack is coming from, and so here I'm initiating the denial of service attack, and then you will see it sends an alert, number of NGAP messages, and then we will, what we'll do here, we dynamically configure additional AMF and UPF. So while the attack detection mitigation happening, you're scaling up the network dynamically, right? So you provide the actual resilience. So this is an example of how we can do things parallel while detecting the attack, mitigating it at the same time, dynamically provisioning the network. So I showed an example of some of these and how we achieve the resilience. So next example I'll show is dynamic quality of service. Some of you, if you have taken communication class, in IP field there's something called deep subcode point type of service. and there are expedited forwarding, SHA forwarding, so there is a bit you set. So like a HOV lane, right? If you have a high priority application, only the HOV lane, they go fast. So in this case, attacker comes and sends lots of traffic in the network. So my quality of service goes down. So I detects that, then I use an API to change the, mark those packets, and then I can make sure the person gets the right quality of service because they get into the HOV lane. So the example here is, you'll see, we use Camera API, dynamic quality of service modification. So the demo workflow is you stream a video through the network. In this case, this is a NASA rocket launching, and the hacker comes, create congestion in the network, the video quality degrades, and the Camera API is a closed loop automation. Again, it's a different way. So video streaming without any congestion, right? Things are going fine. There is no DSCP marking, there is toss, it is best effort. And in this case, we just injected IPERF, some of you may have used as an attacker sending lots of traffic, and there is a degradation in the video quality, right? So at that point, I detected there was a video quality degradation, MOS score went down, RTP went up, loss count went up, and we detected that. Now we know the endpoint, IP address and the flow, and we change the parameters on the IP packet, the diff subcode point, from best service, best effort to expedited forwarding. So by doing that, even if there is a congestion, you have a priority queue on the router, and that will make it go through. So if you look at this traffic carefully, before congestion, things are fine. During congestion, there is a degradation, and with priority DSCP marking, things are back again, right? So this showed another example of how we can take advantage of the virtualization, the API, the SDN controller, and help fix the problem and still provide the resilience. By the way, this test bed is available to any academic community, and you want to talk to me, let me know. All right, so now I will skip this to just briefly because I think I should cover other things. This is a voice over IP thing, similar SIP and RTP based. So the example here is there is a voice over IP call going on, the attacker comes and congests the network by saying a lot of spam over internet telephony. And if you see here, when it happens, your MOS score, mean opinion score goes down, your packet loss goes up during the attack, then I detect it, I stop the attackers, so my median opinion score goes up, my packet loss goes down. This is another example of application of voice over IP, and just another example. Same thing we did for HTTP. HTTP is 70% of the protocols on HTTP, and they may be malware infected. So it can be either on the user plane or control plane, right? So we use XIM breaking point. We generated the malware traffic. What we did, initially there was no enforcement, no detection, so the attacks are going on, but then we initiated our detection mitigation. This is a publish subscribe type, and you see at that point, your number of attacks kind of remains same. Any further attack, we're getting stopped, right? This is what it is happening. It should finish up in a few minutes. This is the test bed. I already talked about it. Operators, vendor, research application, they can take advantage of this for your class, testing. These are different collaborators. We have been communicating with many universities around the world. In fact, I was in NIST the other day, Professor Sukan Mahapatra. We are in the process of connecting. Tech Mahindra is helping us. So if you want your university, any university for that matter, because it's an international conference, can connect to this 5G6 innovation testbed, I can do many kind of experiment. The other thing I wanted to say, because this is a research community, just like you write a paper, it gets archived in Explore, right? There's a citation. So on the testbed side, there's something called data port. Professor Rakesh Kumar, he is the chair. If you want to do your work, you don't have enough data, let's say intelligent transportation system or AI, you can get the import the data from data port. If you're doing an experiment, either locally or on the 5G test, but you can export that and publish it in the data port. Somebody else uses your data for their paper, you get a citation. So it is not only paper, but even your data. So this is important. Many of the projects, they have requirement for that. How much time I have? I just need to make sure I have enough time for Professor Mahapatra. Just about 5 minutes, 5 to 10. Okay, I'll finish up because I want to leave time for Professor Mahapatra too. So I'll do a little bit of threat taxonomy here. So this is important, folks. So now that you understand the 5G security attacks, some example I gave, but how do you really attack? How do you approach it systematically? So if you see this in the radio access networks, I'm focusing on the left-hand side. And the first two columns, they focus on that. So this is called security 101, confidentiality, integrity, availability. So hacker, if I'm a hacker, I want to make the network unavailable. I want to compromise the confidentiality, loss of integrity, loss of control. So these are the bad things I can do. And how I do that, I need to have a mechanism, right? Loss of availability means I flood the network, cross a network element. Confidentiality compromise means data leakage, all those things, start change and modification. And depending on where this thing happen, your protocols are different. If you're doing on the radio access network, you can do jamming, false base station attack, configuration. For each of these, you need to have some kind of a mitigation technique, right? And this is what I'm showing. I'm not going to go over each of these. The point I'm making is, if you have to protect your network, you have to open up, look at what kinds of attacks happen. If I go to the next one, first is RAN, then you have AS, then core. So the first two columns still remain same, availability, confidentiality, but the attacker, because these protocols are different now, right? You're going to attack the AMF, UPF, HSS. So your protocols are different, so your mitigation techniques will be different, right? You use some kind of a deep packet inspection, look at the malformed packets, DPI for SIP and RTP traffic. So that's on the core side. Now you move to the voice over NR. That means you're using protocols like session initiation protocol or RTP. So the key takeaway is at different parts of the network, you have similar vulnerability, but your protocols are different, network functions are different, so your mitigation techniques will be different. So this is how you kind of, I call it threat taxonomy, right? So, and you come up with which mitigation technique works best for you. All right, now, remember I showed you different protocols, STTP is one of them. So now what if STTP is attacked, and how do I take the problems I can solve? So FCC, CISRIC, that's in United States, it's actually the universal thing. So slow read attack, SPAC bombs, these are different kinds of STTP attack could happen. So if that happens on my 5G core, my responses may be slow. I may not get the required service. The bad things happen. Now, remember I talked about threat types. So each of these attacks, is it data manipulation? Is it denial of service? Is it degradation? The risk severity. Is it red? Is it yellow or green? So if it is red, what do I do? How do I bring it back to green? So that is the function of the service provider enterprise. Then I talked about GTP, GPRS tunneling protocol. Remember the reference points I showed? So GTP itself has vulnerability. So we need to understand what kind of threat category GTP has, because this is on the user plane, right? Eavesdropping, fraud, malicious GTP messages. And each of them has attack description and how it affects the users, right? They may not, their whole information may be completely modified. And different threat types, then you use GTP firewall, fraud detection mechanism, etc. Right? That's on the GTP side. I'm being a little quick because I want to finish quickly. Then API. So now you see HTTP, REST API, JSON, SDN controller. So these are all different APIs. So API may be hijacked, right? So if you're trying to injection attacks, authorization attack. So if you're trying to see, I show the Camara API, you are going to change the type of service to expedited service. Somebody hijacks the API and changes to best effort, right? Then you're not going to get the desired service. So you have to also make sure the API is thing, right? I'll give one example of one of the pillars, then I move on to AML. So here the SDN controller, I call it opportunity and challenges. So in this case, SDN controller is this. So it has the ability to configure the routers and firewalls. So the northbound API, southbound API, they may be under attack. And this example, I did it in AT&T long back. We created attacks on the southbound API, and you can see the state of SDN controller was completely overwhelmed. So they stopped working completely. So while SDN controller provides you the opportunity for dynamic control and things like that, there are potential attacks. So this next few slides, I'll just quickly flip through it just to let you know each of these features 5G has. It provides a lot of flexibility, but they have problems on the securities. In this case, SDN controller provides resilience, programmability, but potential attacks, and I'm showing seven of those, northbound API, southbound API, right? And how it affects the mission critical users, then potential mitigation technique as SDN controller, slicing. Slicing provides quality of service, right? Desired quality of service, you see fire, police, they may have different slice for different type of application, one high bandwidth, low bandwidth, but one slice may attack another slice. They do the resource starvation. So on the slicing also, while it helps you to provide right quality of service, one slice can attack another slice, or one EVI may be connected to one trusted slice, untrusted slice, I may be the potential point of attacks, right? So these are the kind of things you have to think about, how I detect and stop these attacks. Open RAN. So radio access network I showed you, right? If you see on the right hand side, this is where Open RAN Alliance is doing something in IEEE also. You open up the whole radio access network, there's not only physical access, right? So there are potential attacks could happen because you're opening up the interface. So if you look at the opportunities here, while you ran, they're cloudified, you have the ability to add additional resources on the fly when there is a overload, but at the same time, there are problems, your virtual machine getting manipulated, and man-in-the-middle attack, those can happen, and then how you potential mitigation. Mobilized cloud, why do we need that? Ultra reliable, low latency. So in this case, you're storing the security context at the edge. It's a good thing. You reduce the latency from 10 millisecond to 1 millisecond or 5 millisecond. But by having the need to store it, you are increasing the potential attack surface, right? Because you're cache poisoning, you're putting a lot of things in the cache. Your third-party application, you're handing up quickly. So again, this is a problem in mobilized cloud. Now, I'll finish up very quickly, maybe in 3-4 slides. Now, I'm trying to connect to the first or second slide. Why do I need a technology? To help solve the problems of the humanity, right? Or any pain points. That is the fundamental thing. So in this case, we are working with Department of Homeland Security. This is a big problem in the United States called active shooter. In a school, the person can start shooting. Unfortunate thing, but it happens. So they came to us, they said, we are using 4G network and we had all these pain points that listed 10 or 12, there are 20 pain points, I'm showing 10, high latency, packet drops, congestion, etc., etc. Do you think 5G can help? So what we did was the first thing to do is kind of gap analysis, right? What are the enablers, the properties of 5G? What are the pain points? Let's try to make a match, right? So similarly, same thing will happen in C. So the point I'm making here is always be logically think how a new technology can be applied in business case. So here to 10-second delay, we use S Cloud to reduce it. There was a congestion, 1 call, 1,000 calls, software-defined networking, and we reduce the congestion. Quality of service went down, we use network slicing. Just I'm not showing all of those. Then what we did, we actually did a test bed. Before it gets deployed, we actually had breaking point, 1 call, thousands of calls we said, then data analytics saw the congestion, you have the orchestration module. Remember I was talking about AMF, UPF dynamically scale up the network. So this is not denial of service attack, this is performance overload, right? And then, so 1 AMF, 2 or 3 or 4, so basically the mission critical users, if they're sending any data or anything, they did not feel the effect of it, right? So this is one example, closed loop automation. Second thing was, there is a congestion and they get video distribution 10-second delay, which is not, it's pretty bad, right? If you're sending something critical information. And so we said, okay, we detected 10 second. So what we did, we dynamically instantiate this user plane function on the edge. So some of those information didn't have to go to the core, which is far off, got processed on the edge cloud. So by doing that, we are able to bring it down to 5 milliseconds. So this is another example of application of Edge Cloud and how we did it. And there are security issues we have to think about. So the key thing, automation instantiate Edge Cloud service to support ultra low latency. This is an example of orchestration Edge Cloud. Third one was slicing. This example I showed, we created different slicing on the fly to support the high bandwidth required. Then what you do? I'm just showing you some idea. So you build something, let's say you get use case from mining or anything, you build in your own test bed, then you have to see, is it scalable, is it feasible? So what we do, in NSF, National Science Foundation, has these big test beds in New York City, Salt Lake City, airports, some are drone-based, some are massive MIMO, some are millimeter wave, some are rural. So we take it, we have a collaboration, we go there, hey, let's try it on 1,000 users, or try to do in a campus-wide and see how it works. And then you get the real-life experiment. So this is how you proceed, okay? I'll finish up, then hand it over to Professor Mahapatra, because here a lot of stuff we can talk about. So now, how can AI/ML help in 5G? Very high level, enhance user experience, RAN intelligence, core intelligence, this is on the performance side. On the security side, you saw some example of limitation of conventional security methods, rule-based, signature-based, manual threat, perimeter-based, encryption, etc. So traditional security methods will still play a role, but not sufficient to secure 5G networks. Now, how AI/ML can help 5G security? Some of the challenges we found in 5G, massive data volume, high dimensional data, network complexity, heterogeneous access, different type, real-time threat detection, scalability, zero-day vulnerability. That means you even don't know the signature if the attack is coming. So AI/ML can potentially help here, by analyzing the data, doing different kind of federation, process the data ahead of time. So if I apply the AI/ML to enhance the security, enhance integer detection, incident response, threat prediction, these are all different good stuff AI/ML can provide. Again, I'm focusing on 5G. The next step will be more elaborate. Then what you do, you create a framework, right? In this example, I have a 5G infrastructure. It could be 4G or 6G. So you have a data collection module, data preparing module, and machine learning based security modeling. And then you do all these components and they apply it to your network and to help secure, right? So there are other things. AI/ML has a problem also, like adversarial ML, extendable AI, custom models. So while we take advantage of AI/ML, there are adversarial AI attacks. How do I see the poisoning, supply chain attack, exploitation, evasion? So these are the bad things AI/ML can be compromised. And for that, there is a defense for each of those. So poisoning, just like I showed mitigation techniques, so AI/ML has problems. So how do I take care of that? So key takeaways, again, very limited scope here, is still being developed. Effectiveness of AI/ML is not unclear in the sense, not completely experimentalized. There is a 5G, this future network workgroups. You can go to futurenetworks.IEEE.org. I'm one of the founding co-chair. This is still going on, 7 years in that technical community. There is a Future Networks Ball Forum coming up September 10th in Bangalore. If you are planning to attend or any papers, please do that. Connecting the unconnected, this is what is happening. I work with Windsurf and others, how to reduce the digital divide, right? That's another example. So in summary, in terms of 5G, I give you an example of how things get standardized. There are technical barriers that impede the deployment, security, spectrum, heterogeneous mobility, radio frequency related issues. These are all research topics, by the way. Operational, transition, coexistence, microservice, open source, cultural barriers, digital divide, health, safety, policy barriers, supply chain issues, interoperability, roaming, spectrum, that's a research area. So last slide. So I wanted to give an idea about the evolution of network. Being a network person myself, I have to tie it with the application. You just cannot design unless you know how it can be used. Then I gave some security ideas, provides the opportunity, but there are challenges. We have to think about both things. So you need to do a systematic approach, open up the network, look at the threat taxonomy, and then implement some best current practice. AI/ML is just one new emerging technology that can help, enhance the security posture, but we have to also look at the dark side of AI/ML, how to make sure it's not compromised. And there may be new technology coming up. Today's AI/ML, maybe something else. The collaboration among operators, vendors, regulators, academia, like we are doing here, standard, testbed, and proof of concept. So these are the catalysts for 5G deployment, even 6G, and there isn't like ecosystem. They all have to happen together. Without that, nothing happens. So this is a perfect platform. I wish to have some demos here. Maybe next year we can do some demos and proof of concept, things like that. That'll be good so you can see actually what's going on. So with that, that's my last slide. I think I ran over a little bit. Thank you very much. I don't know if I have time for question, but I'll be around. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such an exceptional keynote presentation and insightful discussion on 5G networks. Now I request our Dean, Professor Dr. Rudra Mohan Tripathi, to come and give a memento as a token of appreciation to Dr. Datta. Thank you, sir. It is also our honor to welcome Dr. Prashant Mahapatra, the Provost and Executive Vice President of Academic Affairs at University of South Florida. He has previously served as Vice Chancellor for Research at the University of California, Davis, and was a Distinguished Professor of the Department of Computer Science. Dr. Mahapatra has also been honored with Distinguished Alumnus Award from NIT Rourkela. Dr. Mahapatra is a fellow of both IEEE and American Association for Advancement of Science. He has authored over 400 plus research papers and is widely recognized for his pioneering work in wireless network, mobile communications, cybersecurity, and internet protocols. His leadership and research have inspired innovation and academic excellence across the globe. We are truly privileged to have him today with us. Please welcome Dr. Prashant Mahapatra.
Okay, once again, good morning. While the slides are coming up, I know you are waiting for lunch and we have strict time for that. I will try to wrap up pretty quickly. So I'll move a little bit fast, but feel we can have discussions later. So what I'm going to talk about is the nexus between AI and cybersecurity. AI has been very, very popular, and I want to drive that AI will not be successful if we don't take care of the cybersecurity issues. So I hope this works. Yeah. So here is a brief outline. I'll talk a little bit about AI and evolution and cybersecurity issues. The introductory part we will probably move through very fast, but I'll primarily focus on what is the nexus, why it is important to make sure that we interplay AI issues and cybersecurity issues right from the beginning. We need to learn from the mistakes. When the original internet was designed, security was not a concern because the design was primarily, or the application for internet was primarily for defense and in a closed environment. So security was not needed. So we had to struggle many, many years in order to bring in security into the internet and start to use it in a more broader application area. So what I'm trying to push here is, let's not make that mistake again by moving ahead with AI application at a faster pace without integrating cybersecurity right from the beginning. And I'll show you some examples on that. So, as you all know, AI refers to the science of replicating human behavior or essentially replicating us in machines. That is the eventual goal. This goal has been pursued. AI started back in 1960s, but there was a lot of push in 1980s, but the technology was not ready for that. So we had to wait, 3 decades later. Now we are in a place where the technology has matched the needs for AI. That's why, we are moving at that faster pace. And again, in a formal mode, basically, it's a computer-based learning methods. Like we, as human beings, we learn from our childhood and we try to adapt certain things as we move ahead. So basically, that is what AI is all about: learn and then, try to mimic the human behavior. Moving on to cybersecurity, cyber attacks are becoming very common nowadays. The most common ones, as you know, are breaches, cyber crimes, the ransomware attacks and all. But let me give you an astronomical thing over here. In 2024, the cost of cyber fraud across the world was evaluated to be $10 trillion. If cyber fraud was a country, it would be the third largest economy in the world. US economy is $29 trillion, China is $19 million. The third one would be cyber fraud, okay? And it's more than twice Indian economy. That is really big, okay? So that is the cost that we are incurring right now. And the most popular applications that are under attack are related to healthcare, financial services, high net worth individuals, small businesses. And there is also, if you go to the dark space, as you know, dark space is where all the hackers live. There's a lot of push now for focusing on attacks on older people because they're more vulnerable as the applications are widening and there are more opportunities to leverage funds from that. So cybersecurity is actually presenting some unique challenges. There are hundreds or thousands of devices now. There are billions of devices in the world, so the number of devices have grown very high. There are lots of attacks, different types of attacks. So the attack space has increased, the vulnerability space has increased. So it is a very lucrative and profitable area if you are into cyber frauds. Not proposing for you to do that, and there are guards in place for that. So now let's try to stitch both of these two things together. AI is actually ideally suited to solve, many of the difficult problems of which cybersecurity is one. Okay. Now, we need to. So there is an interesting symbiotic relationship. Okay, AI is a powerful tool for users as well as for attackers. Okay, so it is helping both sides. So again, you have to keep up with the bad guys, but the bad guys are getting more power because they can leverage the use of AI for threat detection and new types of attacks and all. Now, in terms of market, if you are into the business world, I know this is Javier's Institute, so you are more into the business world. The global market for AI-based cybersecurity products was about $21 billion, billion with a B in 2021, and is expected to go to $135 billion. These are Gartner's numbers, $135 billion by 2030. So there's a huge market in this area. And that the growth is likely to get more amplified as AI gets to be used more and more as we move forward. So how is AI impacting cybersecurity? It is increasing the sophistication of attackers because it basically provides this automated approach for the attackers in order to find out vulnerabilities, finding vulnerabilities which was taking days, months, and years. Those are becoming into minutes and seconds now because of the power of AI that the attackers can use. The other big thing, and this is an important thing, is that there is always an asymmetry between attackers and defenders. If you are a defender, that means you are a CIO of a company or an organization. If you are a cybersecurity czar of your organization, your goal is to keep the digital space of your organization secure all the time. Your network, your softwares, everything needs to be secured 24/7. On the attacker side, all the attacker needs to do is to punch one hole at single point of time. So there is a huge asymmetry in there in terms of the eventual goals. On one side, you need protection 24/7, and on the other side, on the attacker side, they need only one attempt in order to punch a hole, and they will be in their business. And as I said, as organizations keep on growing, they keep on adding more devices and more softwares, more applications, and with that scope of increase, what is also increasing is the attack surface, because there are more opportunities to attacks. And the last point I want to make over here is you have to balance risk and operational enablement. So what that means is, if you are worried about security, the best thing that you can do, the best way you can make a computer or a device secure is turn it off, put it inside a room and lock it. That's the best form of secure. But the question here, I want to make, I was making a sarcastic comment for that, because the question is, then it's of no use, right? So you have to balance the risk between use and widespread use versus the security aspect of that. And that is becoming a bigger challenge with the more adoption of AI as we move forward. And on the other side, the attackers are leveraging the artificial intelligence growth. And as I said, it can be leveraged both on the attack side and the defense side. What is AI doing is, it is exposing areas in an unintentional manner. Before the AI, we used to figure out, okay, this is the threat model, these are the potential vulnerabilities, we want to have 99% probably security, as 99% protection against the threat, and here we do it. But with AI, and I'll talk more about agentic AIs, that is adding this dimension that you can never manage the dynamic growth of the AI agents in there. And I'll talk about that in the next few slides. There are many other aspects that the cyber criminals can leverage. You know, the common ones are impersonification, presenting you as you. You can leverage AI information gathering and, the identification purposes, the patching, many of these attacks happens when you patch the previous versions, and that's where there are, the SolarWind attack was because of new patches and all. Weaponization of LLMs. This is a big statement in there. LLMs are the core of artificial intelligence of the current generations. Now, you can make those as weapons by training the LLMs in a different mode. Data poisoning and amplification of information, generative AI, your ChatGPT and all the other models in there, they're becoming increasingly popular. But they can be weaponized also in order to provide misinformation and amplify the misinformation as you go ahead. So that will be another challenge as we move ahead. So again, the behavioral exploitation, phishing, vishing, business scams and all are becoming more and more common in there. So in summary, AI has revolutionized the content analysis, because AI, everything that you do in generative AI, essentially you are doing content analysis, and it is hard to protect sensitive data in the industry domains, because sometimes generative AI gets into unintentional analysis, which opens up new vulnerabilities in there. The deepfake detection, you have to educate the users. So let me give you a nice story over here. something happened back in February 2024, which basically changed this entire scope of AI and cybersecurity. It was a fine weekend in a multinational company in Hong Kong. This is not a story. You can Google it, you'll find this news. So this is a fact. There's a multinational company in Hong Kong, a financial company, where the CFO, the chief finance officer, called the head accountant that we have to make a transaction of $25 million to an entity in London, and this has to be done quickly in a very confidential manner. $25 million is not an unusual bank transfer in large financial companies, but it is a huge amount. So the senior accountant said, yes, I will do it and all, but we need to follow a little bit of protocol in here. And they said, okay, fine, let's do it quickly because this is needed. It's an urgent transaction. We have to do it and all. Let's get the key people on a Zoom call and I will do it. The CFO, the senior accountant, and the leadership team that are involved in the approval process, they were called on to a call. Everyone was there. They discussed it, approved the transaction. The head accountant made the transaction. Monday morning comes, the senior accountant realized that the CFO and everyone else in that call were AI generated. The videos, the voice, everything was AI generated, mimicking the individual people of that company. Okay? So that shows the powerful world that we have got into for protection against AI. And this is, as I said, guys, this is not a story. It's, if you Google it, you can find the news in there. So it is becoming extremely important. And again, these things will become more and more complicated. Not far off, I will be giving a talk in a room like this where I won't know who is real person and who is an AI generated person mimicking somebody else. So quickly moving on to the context of agentic AI. But let me take a step here to tell you the difference between just a primer of generative AI, which you all are very familiar with. It's the type of artificial intelligence that focuses on creating new data like text, images, videos, audios based on existing data. So generative AI is your ChatGPT, Perplexity, and everything else that you all are using nowadays. It is based on information that exists out there, and it takes that data, does the analysis, provides you. So it is an artist that essentially creates something new based on what is out there. Okay, so that is the essence of generative AI. It has become very powerful. I've been using that. What it was just 2 years back and what it is now, there is, a huge difference. It is extreme. It has become extremely smart. What we are going to witness pretty soon is the growth in agentic AI. In agentic AI, the agents, which are the AI agents, they basically they work autonomously, they make the execution plan, they use models as well as tools. So in generative AI, all the simpler forms of AI, they're bound to listen what you want them to do. But in agentic AI, you create agents that start thinking, reasoning, and start doing things automatically without, your frequent input or your desire. So that is what, unlike, one-shot chatbots, agents will have memory also. Generative AI is not an agent, it doesn't have a memory. Agentic agents will have memories, they can access tools, they can leverage other tools, and so they will be essentially very close to an independent functioning entity. Okay, so that is a good thing, that has a lot of advantages, but that brings in the concerns about the security aspects of agentic AI. So what agentic AI does, it brings in new attack surface. There will be prompt injection. Prompt injection means the agents, when there will be multiple agents interacting with each other, then you can the attacker can manipulate one agent which will be sending wrong prompts to another one. The other thing which was nowhere there in the previous model, none of the previous AI models, including generative AI, have memories. There is no brain in any of those. With agentic AI, you introduce memory, and that's where it becomes a bigger problem that you can poison that memory. You can provide different levels of privileges that will add to the security threats in there, and that creates a big problem as we move forward. Again, you might be thinking that, okay, I'm giving you all the problems, but I'm not giving you the solution. The short answer is because I don't know the solutions, but a better answer is I'll give you some sketch of what could be done. Now, agentic AI certainly helps in increasing the efficiency, the automated cars and many other automated manufacturing and all will really leverage this. But there is a huge challenge in there because you are leaving agents out there which could become rogue. The huge challenge will be that, and this is reality, folks, we might get into a situation that your agents will no longer listen to you, and they will be out of control, and they will be doing things that you will not be able to turn off, okay? Because these things don't have a switch to turn on and off. So security could become very dangerous as we move through more and more there. So again, moving on to, I won't go through the details, but the threat landscape you can see is very high. The prompt injection is one, as I talked about, memory poisoning, misuse of tools, because they will have, the agents can use tools from your devices, whatever tools that they want, and you don't have any control over that. They might be using the wrong tools or right tools or a mixture of those type of things. Privilege, the thing is, right now we have privilege control of any process that you put on a computer in there, you can manipulate the privileges. But since agents are more dynamic, they will keep on changing privileges of other agents. And in a company, you might be protecting some agents not to enter certain aspects of the file system, but another agent or a group of agents might collude together and raise the privilege level for an agent to get in. And these are pretty high level of complications that we will have to deal with. And then there is the social engineering aspect, the shadow effects and all. The supply chain manipulation, and there are many interesting examples. Don't have time to get into each of the examples, but there are things in these categories that are happening as we speak. I gave you, one nice story from that financial company, but there are like prompt injection, like automated GPT that has been shown that how if you automate the prompt, you could get into situations it will be hard to control. There was a vulnerability that was exposed by Microsoft and CrowdStrike also. These are pretty hardcore security firms, and they are still struggling to deal with some of these challenges. So the impacts of that will be, there will be unintentional data exfiltration, there are sensitive files, the PII problems, the credentials, and this will eventually lead to large-scale attacks. You cannot survive in a world. I think nowadays we have got to the mode that we can survive without food probably for a few days, but not without internet or digital devices, right? So this will become very important, and the supply chain compromise, this is one area where the attackers are always focused on, because that's where they can have the biggest impact in there. Our disruption of operation, reputation, and regulatory changes, these are real hard impacts that we are not ready in order to manage. What are the solutions of this? The way you can deal some up with this is, you focus on as I've mentioned in the very beginning, you focus during the design and development phase on how to address security. Instead of only focusing on developing the intelligence of these AI systems, you focus on integrate security right from the beginning so that you can use tool sandboxing and capability. What the base component of this is, if it's wrong. So there is always an assumption in security that don't say that things won't go wrong, because you don't have the luxury of doing that. If things go wrong, what are you going to do? Can you sandbox them? Can you isolate the problem? Can you minimize the impact? These are some of the areas where there's a lot of research efforts going on. Can you do some memory integrity control? I said, these agents have their own memories. Can you have access that periodically you will have another agent just check their memories, if the memories are healthy or not, if the memories are secured or not. So these periodic checking, like we're supposed to do, maybe we're not doing it, we do an annual medical checkup. So maybe you will have some agents which will go around, which will work with the agentic agents in order to do the memory checkups in there. And during the runtime, you have to monitor and observe, for any kind of anomaly in the system, because the system is changing very dynamically. So in a static system, you check it once, it works fine. But here things are changing dynamically, so that will be a problem. So again, red team versus blue team. Red is the attacker, blue is the defender. So building up good models of red team will help us to build more secure AI systems. Okay, so that's one thing I want to emphasize over there. One big thing is, again, I'll try to finish in 5 minutes. I know you are between food and you is me. The agent inventory and access control, this helps in, so, okay, let me take a step back. Nothing will be useful unless we take care of governance and policy issues. Okay, this sounds not like to be a statement that will be appreciated by computer science students, but that's what the reality is. If you don't have good governance and policy, none of the technical things that you do, however good and effective they are, will not get into the real world to make any effect. So you have to work with human in the loop in order to make sure that there is standardization, there is attestation, and all the other bells and whistles are managed. There are very interesting examples in this, but I'll skip that for today. But we have to really focus on establishing good governance at the organization, like what should or shouldn't be done by the employees, and how do you monitor that. Similarly, governmental policies should be implemented in order to safeguard against any of these challenges that the new forms of AIs are bringing in. Now, for the students out there, what are the research gaps? One of the things that I've been highlighting is the robustness of memory integrity. This is a new thing because up until now we thought only computers and devices have memory. These are semiconductor memory based and all. But here I introduce a new notion of memories where the agents have their own memories and they grow their memories. So just if you want to logically see, they have brains and they grow their brains. So you need to have good approach to make sure that the integration, that is the memory, everything is working fine. So the other thing is you need to come up with some formal verification methods of the agent policies. As I said, the problem will happen once we get into multi-agent environment. And this is not like something that I'm talking about will happen in 2040s or 2050s, unlike what I was talking early in the morning. This is within the next 5 years. When you have many agents out there, how do you keep track about their interaction between those agents? You have to establish some policies and make sure those policies are followed. The moment you lose control of your agents, you will create chaos, and it will be hard to control those type of chaotic activities. And again, same thing I was talking about, agent to agent trust framework. When you have, let's say, 20 agents doing a task, how do they know that one of them is not a rogue agent or one of them is not compromised? So the trust factor in there you need to be worried about managing. So again, that there are many other research aspects, and I will not go through this slide. It's a bit loaded. Basically, it is how do you navigate through those challenges. Okay, let me skip that. So this is the last slide where I want to spend some time, and this will subsume some of the things that I skipped in the previous slide, is you want to prepare for the future without knowing the future will be real or artificial. It is not a joke, this is something that we need to start thinking that the next world we will be living in, it will be always questioned that anything that you're doing, is that real or artificial? Okay. Even now, when you go to the website with these chat bots and all, you get this question in your mind that am I in a real world or artificial world? And that will grow exponentially. Security and intelligence aspects, both these things, there is a strong interplay and there is a big symbiotic relationship in there. Okay, attacks will be always there because it's lucrative, it's very incentivized to the attackers, so you just cannot say that people should behave nice, it will not happen. But now we don't have to deal with only real people, there are now artificial agents that are quote unquote people also. So that is a different challenge that you have to deal with. The reality is, and this is very important, that the artificial world is growing and becoming better and smarter at a faster rate than the real world. Okay? So, as for those of you who have been using generative AIs, you know that the evolution that happened in generative AI, when it came out, when did it came out? 2024 December or something like that? And 2023 December, and just in less than 2 years, it has become so powerful, it has become so good, and the wide-scale adoption is becoming, and again, it's just in 18 months. Just think about, 2-3 years from now, how good it will be. Okay, the only barrier, and I'll talk about the barrier or what could help us to have a control point in there. So let me talk about that. Right now, the barrier in the past was the chipsets are not fast enough. Well, we have the NVIDIAs of the world now that has helped. You can have large-scale GPUs and the advanced forms of GPUs and VDUs and all that can move ahead. The biggest challenge will be going forward will be the energy, the power consumption. We don't have to meet the growing demands of the artificial intelligence world. We don't have enough power that can be generated unless we go for new sources of energy. Okay? What I'm predicting is, which was considered as a science fiction things probably 20-30 years back, to have personalized nuclear reactors or nuclear reactors in your house or in your backyard. That will become a reality. Again, this is not a fantasy. It is, people are moving towards that. There are companies who are in the production range of portable nuclear reactors in order to support, the energy demands. So even, Google, Amazon, and all of them are investing pretty significant amount in research on small size small size nuclear reactors that can power some of these growing VDUs, GPUs and all. So the power supply or the energy demand is so high that we will get stuck over there. So basically the question is, there are a lot of unexplored territories that we are not yet aware of. And that's what will put blocking points for us as we move forward for the widespread adoption. And is that a good thing or bad thing? Maybe both. Okay, it could be a good thing to slow down some of the speeds in the growth that we will not be able to sustain. I'm circling back to Life 3.0 that I talked in my remarks in the morning opening session. Maybe our lifestyle will evolve to the Life 3.0, which will be kind of a very collaborative societal living of real people and virtual people, and real entities, virtual entities, without anyone knowing which one is real, which one is virtual. Okay, we should feel privileged that we, and especially the younger people in this room, you are privileged enough to witness this transition in your lifetime, and this will be a very interesting exposure to the real challenges in life. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen.
Thank you, sir. It was really an interesting presentation on cybersecurity in the realm of AI. Now I request Dr. Rudramohan Tripathi to come and provide a memento to Dr. Mahapatra. Now we'll be having a photo session near the main auditorium. After that, you can move ahead for lunch. Thank you. Next session will start from 2:30 after lunch. Okay. In IC building, IC2 building.